Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Refinement Mastermind Call. We've been doing this since 2017. Today, I want to discuss what gets in the way of your eBay success. I want to know, since eBay, when you do it the way we recommend in the group, whether you do it my way or text way, it still takes under an hour to do 10 listings. So, and 15 listings really. So under an hour to do 15 listings. So what is it that people are doing all day that makes it so they can't reach their goals? So I'd like people to let us know what are the distractions and then what are your priorities? What are the things that you do that get in the way? Because I hear people say, oh, my family gets in the way, but I want to hear what is the responsibility needed. So I have I want to make a list of everything. And at the end of today, I'm going to surprise you guys with how to do this. So one of the things that I see is aging parents care. That's pretty common. A lot of people have, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours a day. Some people have 8 hours a day of taking care of their aging parents. They like split it with another sibling or something. That's pretty common. So aging parents is a thing. Sports coaching for kids, I see that, pretty common. Full-time job, probably very, very common. Maybe the top thing that gets in the way of people's like what it takes up time. I guess they can have an exercise routine, cooking, homeschooling. Let's see. Let's see. Your ego. Ego is not something you do. That's something you are. So let's talk about things that you have to do that get in the way. Steve says trying to keep up with the Kardashians. I guess that's true. Some people spend a good amount of time flexing and trying to impress other people. That's a full-time job for some people.
Yeah, keeping up the Joneses, no, and that'll cause stress too, man. Like, just I know people like that, always trying to keep up with the next.
Well, the point of this group is to be so far ahead, no one can catch you. So let's not worry about. If you do all of the things that you're supposed to do, you'll have more money than you can spend. So then they'll be trying to keep up with you, but you don't spend any time doing that. Christine, what's up? What gets in the way of you getting your stuff done? You had some good insights last night. So go ahead.
I definitely think it's the ego, or a part of it is the ego, because it's the ego that tells us, I want what I want when I want it. I don't want to work because I want to do this, because I want to feel good about my kitchen. That's part of our ego. And if our ego can protect us, and it can also destroy us with arrogance, with procrastination, because procrastination is nothing but I want what I want when I want it. I don't want to do this because I want to do that. And that's where all of these other little things that you're noting. So if we don't have a mind shift, and this is personal, this is something that I've noticed and I've recognized and I've moved through on a lot of different areas. If we don't have that mind shift, all of those things are going to always get into our way.
Okay, so this is cool. So let's talk about this for just a moment. If you do what Tech and Sports says, okay, which is essentially you get your listings done in as little time as it could take. So if it can only take you 10 minutes, then it takes you 10 minutes. You don't add in stuff that's not required. Then you end up having what seems like a really, really, really long day. You can do a lot of things in 24 hours if you don't take longer than it's required. So if you do that, right, you follow that recipe that he has, you honestly, you can make 6 figures part-time. So you can afford a new kitchen renovation. You can afford a new car. You can afford to take a month off and go to Europe with your family if you just are highly, highly, highly productive. I think what happens is, and I know how to do it now. Before I was trying to explain to Isaiah what the difference is. So everyone has similar priorities. It's like great shape, great relationships, great job. I mean, that's pretty much all of it. Great relationships, great family, great health, huge bank account. Does anybody not like those? Really good shape. Everyone loves you. Everyone cares about you. You care about everyone. Plenty of time. That seems pretty good. Same priorities. What's those? Everybody wants the same thing. So to do that, you have to crush your job so you have enough money for the rest of the other things. Doesn't matter what, excuse me, doesn't matter what occupation or what niche you're in. If you do really well in it, you actually have bandwidth to do the other stuff, right? So the problem is, I guess people trying to do that, all that without doing well at their job, then sure. But there's plenty of people I know that they're too lazy to do anything, but it's okay because they have extra capital from killing their job. Like you can be really lazy if you have millions of dollars in the bank. You don't have to do anything. Someone could carry you from your bed to the dining room table to have breakfast if you so please, and you have that ego. People with a big ego sometimes make a lot of money because they have a reputation to protect. That's all Tech is trying to do right now. He doesn't need money. It's just holding up his own standard. I actually think you do need ego too, because if you don't have ego, then you don't need to do anything. You can just stay at home and meditate. Right? If you need to, you have something to prove, and you get out of bed and go be somebody, right? But I'm trying to figure out what kind of things people do today. Is it full time? Do you because I think you could have aging parents, full-time job, kids, have to cook every single meal. You want to impress people on Instagram, so you spend an hour doing that a day, and still do your 10 to 30 listings. Still have still watch Netflix. You just got to do the listings first, and then do all the other stuff that you normally do. Steve, what's up? What gets in the way of your success?
I think what I'm testing right now, I think is kind of too wide of a niche. No, I'm in the clothing, but I still think even that's too widespread.
Okay.
So I did a thing yesterday and did 100 listings, probably more than I've ever done in a single day. And it took about 5 minutes and 44 seconds of listing from start to finish. That kind of took for a long day, but so what I'm going to do it today, I got one type of item and I'm going to do 100 of them today and do the same thing, time it all down. And that's where I'm thinking is if I can get down to that one niche, if I'm correct and the time goes down drastically, I should be able to comfortably do them 100 a day like that.
Steve, thank you so much for that comment, because it sort of made me think. One thing that people do that takes up a big chunk of their day is trying or researching new things. Right? Let's say I said, okay, everyone, the hottest thing right now is it's summertime. So the hottest thing right now are Quicksilver board shorts. So most people don't know like everything about Quicksilver board shorts, so they can maybe spend half the day researching. Where can I get them? Is there one in the mall near me? What do I need to buy them for a profit? What's the market like? So trying new things is something that people love to do, including me. And maybe that gets in the way of your success. You just spend the whole day learning something new instead of getting really great at something. Let's see. Full-time job, research. So I'm going to put that as a huge one, trying and researching new things. Becoming an expert at one thing.
I think also, well, I was going to say trying it. I wasn't thinking the research side or like new products, but that's good too. That's why I like this mastermind. But I was actually going to say like just trying new things, like in the business, just messing with stuff that might already kind of be working. Like I noticed on Tech's call last night when he showed his photos, like some of the back was like some of them had like a more stark white backdrop than some of them, and like that would some people that would just tear them up all day. They'd be trying to fix that all day while Tech's just listed 30 and they're still tweaking one photo, you know. So just, yeah, just fiddling through the day instead of trying to maybe try the stuff at night after you've actually gotten the day done.
Okay, this is great.
Just trying new stuff, period.
A couple of people put dogs, so I'm going to put pets as a, a category of things that people do. I'm going to put medical condition because some people have ADD, ADHD, some people have mental illness, some people have a physical disability. So let's throw in medical condition as one of the things that holds people back. Getting back on task after dealing with the distraction. So Jeannie, what we're trying to do right now is to find all the possible distractions you can have in a day. Vic is saying moving. So I'll put that in here because that's common. I have that right now. Living at grandma's. Procrastination is due to anxiety. Okay, so I'm gonna put, can we put anxiety under mental condition? Because that's something that you can treat. I'm not saying it's easy to solve. I'm just saying you can get treatment for anxiety. There's stuff to help with that. Kim Marie's saying at the end of the day, we're each in our own way, but what is that? Let's define it so that we don't have to do it. Analysis paralysis. Let's see. So I'm saying that the priority should be becoming an expert at one thing. If you spend all day doing that, you're going to have everything in life that you want. Seriously, it's that simple. That's saying if you have just a few niches, you can bucket prices, agreed, because that's because you already have done the research. That's why you can do that. Nice. Eleanor's back on the listing. I'm going to put creating and maintaining your schedule because that's something that, like, of all the productivity tips that there are out there, I think the top tip is the night before or the morning of your day, write down what you want to do today. I mean, that's like 90% of it. You don't have to do anything, no meditation, no jogging, no stretching, no stuff that's not related to what you do today. Of course, exercise, stretching, that stuff is good for you, but it's not related to getting your stuff done. It's just, it's like, it's not directly related to getting your listings done. Yeah,
That was
medical
great. That
condition.
was a great. That was a great point. I got the kids at home, and just for this week, I've started. I'm kind of having to switch up a couple things, and got a couple projects with the weather getting nice I needed to do, and I haven't really written any of it down. And last night after dinner, I just sat down and got a piece of paper and just made like a daily, weekly, and monthly, and just I've kind of already got one, but just after I did that and got up, it was like the weight that was off my chest. Just it was definitely like you said, it was no different than meditation. It actually helped a lot just putting that stuff on paper.
So I'm using this new app called Todoist. I'm using the free version, so don't use the paid version. I don't know anything about it. You make a list of everything you need to do, and you can assign somebody else to help you. So right now we have this household list that my wife and I are both on. And not that I like keeping score, but my wife is really good at getting stuff done. She's like tech. So you get to put who did it. And not that she's competitive, but she's trying to make sure she does more stuff in the house than me, so she can always say I don't do anything. So if you're trying to do that kind of game, you could do that with your significant other and always be ahead. Because if you're always ahead, you can ask them to do something. That's really the key. If you're looking for relationships, if you're always the person giving more than the other person, you can ask that person to do something. Right. So
just like a credit report. Your
just
house
like a credit report. That's right. So I'm going to add home renovations, home improvement to the same category because that's good. A lot of people are doing home renovations, home improvements that can get in the way. So, and I'm going to explain why, in my mind, what happens. So essentially, we're going to be ordering these things in order of priority, right? What needs to get done. So maybe your family comes first, then your full-time job, then after that, home renovations. So here's the thing with mental illness. It's a category, right? If you put mental illness at the bottom of your list, then it doesn't come up. I know that sounds crazy, but I know people in the group that have severe illnesses and medical conditions, and they still do their listing goal. They just do it first. So that sounds crazy, I know, but if you put mental illness and issues at the bottom of your list, they don't come up. It's already 9 o'clock at night by the time you've completed your tasks, and it's time for bed. You're like, you know what, mental illness, I'm going to procrastinate on that. Let's do it tomorrow. Because I think one contributing factor is not knowing what to do that can contribute to mental illness. If you know exactly what you need to do and you show up to work, because like every single job place where I work, they because I live in California, they can't discriminate against you if you have any kind of medical condition. But how come those people can still get jobs? They do great. It's the same. I think like all of the things in my area, they have that. They have somebody who's disabled in some way that's still working there. So they can still get jobs. It's not like people who have some kind of disability can't be productive. I don't believe that. Let's see. Kevin says not selling similar. Okay, so not selling similar, Kevin, this is great. Means that you're prolonging becoming an expert in your category. So here's the one part of sell similar. That's the secret. You guys ready? You should probably write this down. You need one good listing to sell similar from. Hopefully that makes sense. So that requires you to be an expert or at least knowledgeable one time so that you can sell similar off of it. Most people they don't have a listing that's good enough to sell similar from. So that's tech secret that we shouldn't have shared online today, but oh well. So, okay, whatever Isaiah is doing all day, most of it is not becoming an expert at selling shoes. Because if you were an expert in selling shoes, that was your gig. You wouldn't have an issue with cleaning. If you were an expert in selling shoes, that you would have already taken care of that. That's part of it, right? Or you could even choose, if you wanted to sell shoes, to only sell new shoes. There's no cleaning required for that type of shoe seller. So you got to look at if you're going to only do used shoes, then cleaning is part of your being an expert. You would figure out a clean way to do it. And that is a category I'm considering really diving into, not for myself, but I want to look at, because I feel like a 100 to 200 shoe a week, hopefully Brian is still here, a 100 to 200 a shoe week business, I feel like is one of the best businesses on eBay. Most people can spend 30 hours a week looking for 100 to 200 pairs of shoes, and then 10 hours a week listing, shipping, organizing. That's an hour and a half a day. Get your listing goals done. That's only 15 a day, which is under Isaiah's goal, 22. So most people can do that. And if you wanted to have 100 to 200 shoes a week, you don't need to do any cleaning. It could be part of it. So Jeannie is saying kids. Okay, so I'm going to put that as its own category, kids, because that is going to be different for everyone. Let's see. Julie, do you have a comment or question?
I wanted to talk about the sell similar thing, but if you don't want to talk about it today,
Go ahead. Let's do it.
I finally understood the concept of sell similar, like literally just yesterday. I've been in the group forever, it seems like, or maybe not forever, it seems like for me. The great thing about selling similar is that you use the exact same format as your other as your other listing.
Yeah.
And so you just go in and you just say exactly what you said about the other purse or the other shoe or the other shirt. Like it's plug and chug. It's not, you don't guess what goes into the next listing. It's already there for you and you just overwrite it. And I never understood that. I think that's like a really important part of the sell similar is it's not just that you're pushing the button sell similar and rewriting the entire listing. You are just plugging in the same information you put in as the last listing.
That's right.
That was life changing for me. For me, I heard you say sell similar 15,000 times, but it didn't make sense to me until I heard that you just rewrite all the information, all the characteristics of the shoe or the shirt or whatever, right there in the description.
That's exactly right. This is the thing about sell similar and applying it to all areas of your life is that you don't need to change the formula. Let's say it's Linda's birthday and I'm taking her to brunch. We go to a nice place. I give her flowers. We go after brunch, we go back, we do some kind of activity together. And then, that's our little anniversary. Once a year on her birthday, we go have brunch and I give her flowers. That's pretty good. Like there's a recipe there of success. But if you change it and you're like, you know what, instead this year, I'm not going to even call you or text you. What is that? That's not the same thing. You listed 10 items quality and the next day you don't list. What is that? You don't care about eBay now? Only one day you care about eBay? So it's like, if you have to continuously do it once it starts to work, and all the recipe for every single thing that we do, there is a best practice. Like no one says, you know what, it's 10 p.m. at night. That's the perfect time to start homeschooling. 10 p.m. at night. That's too late. Why would you start at 10 o'clock at night? There's a reason school is in the beginning of the day. Why would school be at the end of the day? It doesn't make sense. There's like certain things that make things easier. And we already have figured it all out. I already made a schedule for everybody and nobody follows it. I mean, that's not true. Some people in the group do follow it and they're done in 1 hour. But I'm saying all the best practices, like this industry that we are in is a reselling industry. We sell things that have already been sold one time. So that means when we get the item, we have to review the item to see how close it was to the original condition and then explain that to the customer. There's best practices involved in all of that. And I think that this group and this conversation today is about figuring out what gets in the way.
I think a good one is like backtracking, like not prepping your items good enough and like going through like measurements, getting 3 photos in and then finding a hole or a stain. I listen to a lot of people talk about that, and it's the mental and the actual time that puts you back. It compounds, I feel like. And then it makes you kind of second guess your process. I've noticed I've really tried to be vigilant, just give a couple extra seconds for the prep, and it's made all my other processes go so much faster. And if I do miss something, there is no second guessing. It goes straight into a donate pile. There's no fix pile. No
fixed pile is great.
No fix pile. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's plenty of people that in the world, and there's plenty of things to sell. That's why one of the reasons why I left Utah is because for some reason, everybody recycles who they date. Like if you date someone and it doesn't work out, your friend will be like, can I date that person? I'm like, why would you do that? I've already done the hard work for you and figured out that's not a good match. And you're kind of like me because we're friends. So why would it work out with you? So if you look at, there's so many people. Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to sell a project? Don't just leave it at Goodwill and go to the next one. There's so many things to sell. We see that post on Instagram. You know what? I don't know anything about this. I don't know if it works or not. Let's try it. Why? Just leave it there. You don't know anything about it. It's perfectly fine to leave it there. You don't have to gamble your time on something you don't know. There are certain things that are guaranteed to work. Your kids, if you spend a lot of time with your friends, or you spend a lot of time with your kids doing an activity that you both enjoy without your cell phone, and you do that regularly every week, there's a good chance you have a good relationship with your kids. If you take an interest in what they do, instead of just telling them what to do, you'll probably have more success. There's like certain things that work better than others. And my parents, I mean, I'm now being a parent, I actually do think for sure my parents did the best that they could. Like actually, I was just thinking about this. Both sets of my grandparents, none of them could read. That's 2 generations ago. They couldn't read. Now we're like in this weird technological thing where I can talk to 104 people at the same time on this Zoom call, and 10,000 people will listen to this. But before, neither of my grandparents, I mean, they couldn't even read. So I'm now thinking, you know what? My parents did the best that they could. But regardless of situation, you see kids do well. How come some kids grow up in a horrible area and still come out successful? How come some kids are born with everything and they're a failure? Let's just focus on the best practices. So Vic is talking about being organized. This is great because the number one thing that makes it so it's difficult to organize is too many things. Vic, if you came to the Daily Refinement Life School, I wouldn't put too much on your plate, and you'd be organized immediately, because I would say, Vic, we're not going to do 10,000 things here at the School of Daily Refinement. We only do a few things here. Like, let's just pick 4 or 5 things that are important to you, and let's do those. Going to the bathroom too much. Nice, Thomas. So I would relate that to physical health, right? So maybe improve your diet a bit. The app is called Todoist, but you don't need an app. You just need to write down everything that you do. Yeah, Todoist. It's all one word. Your kids are highly motivated by competition. Yeah, most people are. I actually think a little competition is healthy. A little competition is healthy. Even Tech, his heartbeat doesn't really increase ever. But like one time during the shoe call, like a year ago, somebody said challenge and his ears perked up and he was like, maybe I'll hop in the shoe game and show these guys how to do it, because he's bored. So a little challenge is it's good for everyone. Let's see. You're a perfectionist. I don't know how to deal with that concept, because usually people who want to be perfect, if you want to be perfect, the key is repetition. So if you don't do it a lot, how can you be perfect? So that's always an interesting question to me. Like, it's not natural to be perfect at something without practice. That's extremely unlikely. So if you can't get over, like, you think being perfect is just putting 1,000,000 hours into one effort, one unit, I don't think that's the right way to approach it. You need to practice a lot and look at your different mistakes and adjust and ship something, do something, and see how it actually turned out, trying to be perfect. Rachel? Hopefully she can chat. She's saying kids.
Sorry, hold on.
No worries. What's up?
Hello. I was just saying that, like, so it, what you were just touching on, like, I know we compare like why Isaiah takes all day, but like you look at Tech's wife, like she does 15, because compared to Tech's like 250 or 300, 15's ridiculously easy. So of course she has to do 15. Why she, it's an accountability thing. So if like we want to be perfect, but and then that touches on that too, because if we're being stuck on perfection, it's like having our listings done, that's the perfection. So stop going over if your picture's good, because that's not it. So you have to just kind of like refocus the perfection on, my perfection is hitting this number. And
Yeah.
as quickly as I can. Because if you can just do it quickly and just stop we just get in our own way, really, is all it is. You know, if all of us had a camera on us all day and we knew somebody was going to watch our exact process, we would just do it.
That's right.
You know, it's like you'd be more accountable, I think.
I agree. Ashley is saying some people are night owls and some people work better at night. Here's the thing. The people who are productive, whether they do it in the morning or they do it at night or they do it at lunch, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter when you do things. That's another silly thing that people talk about. Like, oh, I need to get up earlier. It doesn't matter when you wake up. The same 24. You could wake up at 5 in the afternoon and be done with your listing goal by 6 in the evening. Like, it doesn't matter when you wake up. So however good one, Kevin, eating. I want to put cooking and eating under the same thing. That's a huge thing that takes up people's time. Cooking. Okay. Lack of accountability is, I kind of struggle with this one because it's just not on your schedule. Like, how come people can come to this call? You know what I mean? It's just on there. They're just used to it at this point. You want to challenge tech in your niche? I mean, he has already had an open invitation that you guys can send him a box of whatever you list and he can still list it in 1 minute. I don't think anybody has even taken him up on that challenge. So I'm telling you, if for some reason, one of these tech guys, one of these tech bros offers me, $100 million to make eBay FBA, right? Where everyone in America stops reselling and you just send it to a warehouse in Kansas and tech lists everything, right? I'd be like, let's give him 99 million and I'll do 1 million to be the marketing and get everything in there. And I think within a year, he could have every single category figured out. So people just do it the fastest way. Ben says he stopped paying attention to people's words. I agree with that. It doesn't really matter what you say. So here's another thing with Ben. He's saying, if people, hold on one second. Actually, we're okay. If people really want to list, they would. That's not necessarily true because if you want to list, everybody wants to list. You have to have the schedule part. That's the part that makes it a reality. Okay, maybe Ben is right, actually. Everybody wants to list. Everybody in here wants to list consistently, but it's the actually doing it part that requires the schedule.
Do you think tech wastes all kinds of time trying to overthink why he can't do it and all the obstacles in his way? He's more obsessed with getting it done and trying to figure it out. He spends his time wanting to do it and wanting to do it the best he possibly can.
So this is what I think he does and why it's so effective. So we're talking right now about things people need to do, right? Kids, priority, because at one point tech was a single dad. And yesterday they talked about how did you do that? How do you run a listing? How do you do eBay when you're a single parent? So essentially what you do is you make all your priorities, like kids' homework, baseball practice for him. You have to do your listing goal. He also had another day job. So what you do is you prioritize what you need to do. So for him, it's 6 or 7 priorities. You put them in your schedule, what you do each day. And the thing is, there isn't enough time at the end of the day for distraction. What happens is people have their 6 or 7 list of priorities, right? And they put in all these other things that don't matter. And it pushes the priorities to the bottom of the list and the priorities don't get done. If you do your priorities first, there is no time left. It's the whole day. your whole day could just be your priorities and say, you know what, whatever that distraction is, I'll do it at the end. I'll do it later, and you'll never have time to do it. Most people do it the other way. They do the distractions first. They'll get to the priorities later, and they never get to it. So his way of doing it is really just doing it in a different order. That's what unlocked it for me. Really, the difference that made me the most money of all the different ideas was photographing and then listing immediately after. That made me so much money. Every other idea that is not as important as that one, because I never had items that were photographed and not listed. No items that were not listed and put away. And then that one combined with date-based inventory system, so you never lose anything, and then listing at the same time every day. That's like, we can just turn this call off. That's most of reselling. Selling.
What's helped me kind of face my own shortcomings and things is I made a commitment never to use the words, I don't have time. It's okay to say it's not a priority. I don't want to do it. But to tell you the truth, everybody has the same amount of time. It came through very clear last night on text call. I was kind of doing something else and half listening, and someone asked the question, how long does it take you every day to handle offers? And his answer made me kind of stop in my steps. His answer was, would you be surprised to know that I have handled 100 offers while we've been on this call? And everybody just kind of stopped. And he said, would it surprise you? The point is, you didn't even notice. So being able to realize what things can go together. And, a lot of us worked during this call, but can you believe that? He didn't even say a thing. He was tuned in, he was answering. And at the same time, he was responding to 100 offers while we were musing about life. So anyway, for my hack is just own up to it. Don't ever say I don't have time. Even if it's somebody saying, hey, can you come over and water my plants? My answer isn't I don't have time. It's I got 49 things that are on the list above that. If I ever got through them, your plant would be dead by the time I got there. So anyway, last night really made me stop and reconsider how I'm allocating the same 24 hours that tech has, how I'm allocating that and not getting 1/10 of the amount of work done as he does.
Yeah, this is true, because back to what Ben's saying, tech doesn't talk about what he does, because that would be inefficient, kind of. If you're trying to get the most things done, you don't have time to talk about what you did. Last night during his 4-hour call, he was also having a full-blown conversation with me via text. So I mean, like, he's doing a lot of things sequentially. He only does one thing at a time. He's also, if you guys, maybe you haven't noticed this, but he's also one of the best listeners, because when you ask a question, he really does know how to answer, which means most of a question is related to most of the answer is listening to the question. For example, I'm only going to just say one sentence about this. How do you transfer photos from your camera to your computer? If you listen to the question, the photo transfer from your camera to your computer, most people already fail in doing it the fastest way because they don't use a camera already. So that eliminates like 90% of people from doing it the fastest way, as they use a phone. Then the transfer part, is just literally moving the memory card into the memory card reader. Or I guess you could plug that cord into the camera, but I think that plugging that cord into the camera is not as fast as a card reader. So there's only a few different components there to do it the fastest and the best. So the way tech does it is really smart, because he's listening to the full question and then picking apart what's the best part of it. But he doesn't talk about what he does, because that takes forever. If you can just, because it would take probably an hour to explain what he does every day. So Brandon's saying just do it as simple. Essentially, you have to know what to do. That is the key. So if everyone went to Tech and Sports Inc. today, there would be no thinking, right? You would just show up, you would say, do these things in this order, and you're done. And I think maybe I'm gonna write this down as one of the best. I'm gonna make a new Tech and Sports 10 Commandments. And I'm gonna put on that list of 10 commandments, do everything in order. That's gonna be huge. Kids, soccer. Okay, thank you. Patty made a big list. Kids, okay, I'm gonna put kids under the subcategory of family. Soccer, also under kids. Cooking, I'm gonna put cooking and eating under physical health. Laundry, yard work. Okay, I'll put housework. Housework is great. A lot of stuff related to housework. Cleaning, laundry. That's great. College is under kids. Aging parents, I put in there under family because that's huge. Some people literally that's 8 hours a day. It's a lot. Some people longer, but let's see. Brandon is saying, if you want money, then list. I think it's a bit more complicated than that because it takes planning. So whenever you like, how much money do you want to make? That's a key question that you should answer before you approach your listing habit. Eleanor, what's up?
Good morning. Just something you said about doing the extra stuff first. I realized that I had gotten so efficient at photographing and listing. I kind of used that as an excuse to postpone it because I was thinking in my mind I could knock that out later because I've gotten so much faster instead of taking all day to do 10. And I really had to step back and say, yeah, I could do it pretty quick, but I still have to do it first.
This is why I say 30 a day is the secret because you can't do it later in the day. You have to get on it because if it's already noon and you haven't started, you're in trouble. So part of Isaiah, like if it's 8 in the morning for him when this call starts, if he had a day job, he would have to get his 22 listings done before this call and then start work at 9, and he would just knock it out because it's the first. No one bothers you at 5 o'clock in the morning. There are no distractions. When I look at the aging parents thing and the kids thing, top tip has to be, I do it when they're asleep. Has to be top tip for sure. And now being a parent, it's like, if you want to make your life as difficult as possible, try to do listing while you're supposed to be taking care of somebody else. It's like literally impossible. So Eleanor, that's also like, if you get really good at your listing habit, that can be dangerous because you can knock it out later. But that's why I think 30, you can't accidentally do 30, but you can slack off all day, and at 10 o'clock hits, you can still hit 20, no problem. You can still do it. And you're just up till 1 in the morning to get it done.
I'm a natural procrastinator. So it was to my disadvantage. So I had to just make the conscious choice to say, no, you just got to do that first.
Yep. So Josie says, how come single parents can work 2 to 3 jobs? Yeah, I think essentially when you are a single parent, your priorities become insanely clear.
Yep.
Right? What is your life? If you want to be a great parent, there's only work and parenting. If you're a single parent, there's nothing left. Where's the time? Like people do that. Like they watch their single parent bust their ass their entire upbringing. It makes that kid different. It's different. Like they did the same thing it takes 2 parents to do. You know, they did the best. I mean, it's just your priorities become really clear when you're a single parent. But if you don't have any kids and you're single, your priorities are absolutely not clear. You can do whatever you want. You could go on 16 dog walks a day if that's your priority. When you're single, you can't do, you might not even have time to have a pet if you're a single parent. Let's see. Yeah, tech built a machine. Yeah, the machine is just, it's based on scheduling. I'm in it too. Today we have the podcast recording at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We've adjusted it twice because of different family obligations for me. When we started the podcast, like we didn't have a baby. Now I have a baby. So things adjust and move around, but it still gets done. So Kevin, one part of an amazing machine is that it can be adjusted and fine-tuned. Is that it doesn't always stay the same. Life is not that simple. Listening and communicating. Go ahead.
I said you actually have to tweak and adjust it, oil it, stuff like that, or else it'll break down. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it has to be.
the
Part of
it's just all done. You just let the machine keep running. At some point, you got to do a little maintenance here and there. So it's never fully passed.
And they're always on. Like really great machinery doesn't get turned off. Like that heavy machinery, the 250 a day listing machine is on 24/7. Multiple people work on it all day long. There's got to be people finding the stuff, people listing the stuff, 30 hours a day of shipping. That doesn't even make sense.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
When you just said life's not that simple, but for tech it is. He just does it. And I think as a group, we tend to really love to overthink it, everything, anything and everything. And he just wakes up and does it. He just does the next task and doesn't think about the process. He just does it.
I think everyone could do that if they had to. Everyone has the same priorities. They want money, they want physical health, they want good relationships. Right. The thing is, if you work on your good work, good health, good relationships, there's no time left at the end of the day. It takes all day to do that. So if you procrastinate, if you do all these other things first, what ends up is you don't have any money, you don't have good health, and you don't have any relationships. That's like what happens to everyone because they do other things during the day instead of those three things, which take all day. So Tech's life is simple in a way that that's all he does. He doesn't do any other things. So it is simple because it doesn't fit into and I think that single parent comment, because a lot of single parents work more than one job. That's extremely common. So how the hell are they working more than one job with all the other family stuff they have to do? You know, it's literally like that's like in every movie. I had a single mom and she worked 3 jobs to put us through school. That's like, you hear that. Right, but no one brings up I'm single and I had one thing to do that day and didn't do it. You know, that's like the polar opposite. But if that was a t-shirt, people would buy it.
I think he said
Go ahead.
the busier, I can't say it. The more things that you have to do, the more things you get done. Like that's why the single mother who works 3 jobs, she just does it. Like you have to get everything done because this is that only second that you can do it. So the busier you are, like when I have a deadline on things, I get a lot of stuff done, you know, because it's like, if I don't do it right now, it's not going to get done. But when I don't.
Sorry, haven't we talked about like cleaning the house in the group before where you can take like all day to do it? Or if you know someone's coming over in an hour, you can just clean it all real quick in like 45 minutes. It's wild because you have that fire under your ass. So like during that time crunch. So how can people like create that time crunch for themselves? I don't really know what the drive is for certain people, but I don't know.
So this is funny, Ben, because right now on YouTube, I'm doing this eBay mentorship where we knock out all the components of an eBay store in a month, which I came up with as the things that for a good store are, let me pull up the tasks. It's let's see, let me just pull this up. Figure out what all your constraints are, like money, space, time. Do you get a listing goal, get a schedule? Can you find things profitably? Do you have an area for photography, shipping, and listing? Can you quickly research and do a quality listing in under 6 minutes? And can you find time in your inventory system or find items in your inventory system? And then number 7, do you know how to ship things cheaply and efficiently? So those are 7 things I wanted to cover in a month. So one of the ladies in the group, Bethany, she was cool, but she had an upcoming trip that came up. Like I don't know exactly what it was, but there, like a once in a lifetime trip happened that she could go on with her friends or her family or something. So she did the whole mentorship in one day. She just did, okay, you know what? I don't want to waste this opportunity. Chris, this is my schedule. This is what I'm gonna do my listing. Here's a picture of all my stuff. I know how to ship things. Here's all the different rates and how I do it. This is how I can do a listing in under 6 minutes. So how come she did the whole thing in one day and everybody else takes a month? Just she really wanted to go on this trip, so she knocked it all out.
It's
If you
because she
really-
wanted to, Chris. It's not what that people say. It's what they want to do. So she
That's
wanted
true.
to do it. That's what I'm saying. It's like people, like I wanted my brother to do eBay because, you know, he's struggling right now a little bit. I'm like, okay,
Right.
you can have a small store. And then 2 days, man, like both weeks, like when the day came around to do it, he's like, I don't feel good. I can't come over. And you're like, dude, I'm literally showing you how to fish right now. Like, please. Like, even he was like kind of like diminishing. Like, I was like, you could sell maybe toys or something like that. And he's like, well, I don't want to sell this. It's only $10. It's like, it's $10 one time, but I'm showing you how to fish. I'm showing you how to multiply that money. But he doesn't like, he's not like getting that because he hasn't like felt that like good feedback loop you get when you're succeeding at, you know, reselling.
That's a great point. I don't know how, I guess you can't make people drink. You can only lead a horse to water, right? You can't force them to want to do it.
I mean, everyone knows somebody that you've tried to talk to. Everyone knows somebody you've tried to talk to try to like, you know, kind of give them a little leg up. And no matter what you do, they just don't want it. It doesn't matter what you do. So either like something inside of them has to change. You can try some sort of inception, like try to like change their mind somehow. Like I try to do that. I talk about like other people and thinking that maybe they'll gain an idea, because when you tell someone they like aren't doing something, they take it really defensively. They don't like listen.
That's right on the money. Well, let's ask everyone in the group, how bad does Tech want it?
I'll say you said earlier like how good he is at answering questions, and obviously not to discredit Tech because you learn how to answer questions from his experience. But I think a lot of times he answers it because I like wrote in the chat earlier, like a lot of people are just lying to themselves. They know the answer and he doesn't fake it. He gives you the answer. And I hear a lot of people saying like repeatedly saying like, I check out your store. I had to check out Tech store one time. I looked at it once and I said, oh, okay, I see it. You know what I mean? It's easy. And he's not selling that many items. It'd be one thing if he was selling 1,000 different categories and you were going there for research, but you go and look at one of his listings and you're like, oh, okay. It's easy.
I think Ben, go
I
ahead.
think Tech likes to hard carry his team. Like he's just a hard carry. I don't know if that's a sports term, but it's a video game term for me. He likes to hard carry stuff, man. He is like, if no one else is going to do it, he's going to do it. I think there was like a challenge he was saying where like the warehouse people stopped and he like wanted to list everything. He told his wife he was going to list like everything for the day. And he did it, even though it took him like until like 2 a.m. or something. He still did it. I mean, what drives a person to be like that? To be like,
yeah, and then that's contagious.
carry?
And that's contagious when you work around it, because at that time too, I think he had a guy in a sling or a cast picking and packing with one arm. You know, so even his employees are seeing that dedication, and it's like, you know, rubs off, obviously. And if not, they wouldn't be there.
Cindy, what's up?
When you love your pet like family, you want to feed them like family. That's why every
I know I had sent you that message, that email. I went to the flea market and I felt like I had been in that movie, the Christmas movie where you see like the angel of Christmas past.
Yep.
And it was like I had gone to the flea market and there was a whole barn. The guy had been there 40, 45 years and they were going to tear the barn down. And I was like, holy moly, like this is what can happen when you just like lose sight of things. And he has so much stuff, and he's got really good stuff too. And I sent Chris a message because there was all kinds of cards and signed memorabilia, and he's got thousands of books, he's got clothes, and he's just like packing everything up one at a time in bags and getting it out of there. And then he started talking about all the personal stuff, and it reminded me about when I first came into the group and Chris told me, you know, keep the personal stuff aside. And it was like deja vu for me, because it was like I sent Chris an email and I'm like, this is what happened. Here's all these cards from McDonald's, like boxes and boxes that haven't even been opened, football cards. And I'm like, the guy said that he would go in 50-50. He would provide all the stuff. I could sell it. And Chris's response was pass. And the next morning I read what I wrote to him, and I'm like, that's a hard pass, because I would spend half my time counseling him like Chris was trying to do to me, you know?
Well, here's the
And it
thing,
was-
Cindy. I actually hard pass all of your messages. You
Yeah.
message me all the time, and I just delete the email as soon as I get it, because I don't want to read it, because it has nothing to do with anything that's productive. It's all the other stuff that we're talking about here that doesn't matter, are all the emails and messages I get from you. So that's why, like, when I'm looking at, like, I just want to see what people are doing and how they can improve. All of the other stuff doesn't matter. You becoming an expert in one niche is the opposite of going to a barn sale and looking through what somebody has. So like, if the emails I get are longer than like one paragraph, usually I don't have time to even open them. I can just see all that text and it's just gone. I know, because it's like, that is overcomplicating it. We're just looking at like, that is the opposite of wanting to do it, as Ben was saying. Like, if you want to do it, you just set you make the least steps possible, not the most steps possible. So Cindy, your emails and a lot of your messages are so long that I just don't even read them, because they're just so unrelated and so squirrely that even for me as a squirrel, it's too squirrely for me.
Well, it reminded me of Christmas past, because I was like, I don't want to be that guy, but I know he had a lot of good items, and I just didn't know if I should go through some of those items, at least go through his Levi.
Definitely. I mean, I didn't even read your email because I was like, hell no.
Okay.
Because I saw your email and it was like, just like my new form of nightmare was that kind of email. I don't want that. I want only the success part. Like,
well, I was asking, should I go and just give the guy cash, or should I do a consignment with him and get at least clothes from him? So, but I know, yeah, that's what I said, Nelson. I said, when he just said pass, I'm like, I read this email the next morning, and I'm like, I think I would end up talking to the guy more than just going and getting his shit. So I didn't even go back. But I know he does have some quality items. So yeah.
Go ahead, Isaiah.
Before we get too far from the tech topic,